Welcome to the Day's Adventure Podcast. I'm your host, David Visser, and this is the Woven in Courage series, The Battle for Groningen. The thunder that haunted the horizon all week has finally arrived. It's just after dawn, April 13th, 1945. The air is heavy, carrying the scent of smoke and spring rain. The streets of Groningen are quiet, too quiet, except for the trembling windows. The ground moves first, then the walls breathe, and suddenly the city knows the war has come home. For 5 years, the people here have lived under occupation. They've learned the language of fear, the pauses in footsteps, the weight of silence, the sound a key makes before it turns in the wrong door. But this morning, something else fills the air, something raw and unfamiliar. It's not quite hope, not yet. It's tension, rising like pressure before a storm that refuses to break.
The floor shakes. Mother's cup falls from the shelf and doesn't break. It just rolls in a circle on the floor. The sky flashes white, then gray. I can taste dust on my tongue. Someone whispers, "The Canadians are near."
Somewhere beyond the smoke, Canadian tanks are moving north, engines growling through the mud and rubble. The 2nd Infantry Division, young men who have fought their way across Europe, now closing in on this city. They've been told to take Groningen, but do not destroy it. There are too many civilians still inside, too many families waiting in basements and in barns, caught between survival and salvation. From here on, nothing is simple. The Germans won't surrender. The Dutch resistance can't show their faces yet. And the people, my grandfather among them, are about to live through the longest 3 days of their life. This is where it begins, the Battle of Groningen. A fight that would turn ordinary streets into battlefields, where fear, courage, and chaos all become the same sound. And in the middle of it all, a young man named Freddie Visser, writing by candlelight as the world outside caught fire. You're listening to Woven in Courage. This is episode 11, The Battle for Groningen. It starts as a sound they've grown used to, thunder far to the south. But this time, the sky doesn't echo, it answers. The first shells land on the edge of the city, probing the German defenses that wrap around Groningen like a noose. The Canadian 2nd Infantry Division is moving fast, supported by the 8th Regiment. Their orders? Take the city but spare it. No bombing runs, no flattening streets. There are too many civilians still inside, so this will be a slow kind of mercy. Street by street, brick by brick, and house by house. From basements to attics, people listen, trying to tell whether the explosions mean life or death. The Germans have mined the bridges, fortified houses, and set up snipers in church towers. They've even begun wearing civilian coats, firing from doorways and disappearing into the side streets. From Theo Pullman's diary, the Germans are shouting outside. One of them kicks the gate. I hold the radio under the floorboards. The air smells like dust and coal smoke. I can't tell which way the wind is coming from anymore. This is how liberation sounds when it still belongs to no one. The same thunder that can save you might destroy your home. In his diary, Theo Pullman, a student hiding in a friend's cellar that day, wrote, "The walls shake, the candle dances. I never knew fear could be so physical, like heat pressing through the floorboards. We whisper the names of streets to know which ones still exist." On that same day, my grandfather wrote,
When the shelling stops, the silence feels heavier. You can hear things you shouldn't. The creak of a roof, a cough 3 houses away.
In the southern neighborhoods, resistance members guide the Canadians with hand signals, flashes of light, and chalk arrows. One of them, later identified as Henrik van Dyke, wrote in a post-war report, "We knew every valley. We led them by memory, not by maps. But when the bullets came, memory wasn't fast enough." People try to help in ways that feel both brave and ordinary. A woman on the Osterstraat ties a white sheet to a broom handle and leans it out her window. It isn't surrender, it's a message. We're still here. No one shoots at it. For one heartbeat, the city feels human again. Kindness moves quietly through the chaos. A cup of water passed to a wounded man, a door left unlocked for strangers, a candle placed in a window, not to signal, but to remind others that someone still lives here. From my grandfather's journal.
Every house feels smaller. The walls seem to lean inward, listening. I don't know how to measure time anymore. Only the seconds between explosions.
By mid-afternoon, the Canadians controlled the outer streets, but the SS are falling back toward Groot Market, setting fires as they go. The flames creep along roofs and into memories, turning the familiar into something unrecognizable. From the diary of Theo Pullman. The tower fires again. Each shot feels like it's counting something. The seconds, the losses, the lives still hiding below. We count with it, the way children count between thunder and lightning. And so, the battle begins. A fight for a city that refuses to surrender its soul. A battle fought not from the sky, but through kitchens, stairways, and cellars. A battle where every wall has a story behind it. Next, the fight moves inward, street by street, room by room, and for the people of Groningen, every breath will matter. By late afternoon, the battle has moved inward, south to north, house to house. The Canadians won't bomb the city. That means every room might be a battlefield, every landing a trap. On the ground, it's not lines on a map, it's corners. If you own a corner, you live. If you step past it too wide, you don't. From my grandfather's journal.
The air shakes. The wall dust tastes like chalk. Someone shouts in English, and 2 more answer in Dutch. The voices are close enough to feel, like heat through brick.
The Black Watch moves with the armored division. Door teams clearing, waving civilians down stairwells with open palms. A maple leaf on a sleeve becomes the most powerful symbol in a ruined room. Stay behind it, and you might see tomorrow. But this fight isn't fair. Some SS and Dutch collaborators have ditched their uniforms, coats, caps, civilian shoes, a neighbor's silhouette at a window, and then the crack of a rifle that doesn't belong on your street. A civilian account collected after the war.
He wore a brown coat like my husband's. I waved him inside. He told us to keep low, and then he fired from our kitchen door. When the tanks replied, our plates jumped like fish.
Deception makes the city feel like it's lying to itself. Shutters that never open. Curtains that never move. And somewhere above, a sniper waits for a breath that's too long, or a foot that's too slow. Civilians become messengers no one can officially use. Fingers point, eyes flicker. A door handle turns twice to say, "Not this way." In one block, 3 families chalk a tiny arrow at the base of a wall, where only someone kneeling with a rifle would see it. It points around a corner the enemy forgot to watch. Theo Pullman writes,
The house across is burning inside the walls. You can hear the fire travel like a small animal trying every path. We take turns at the stairs. One listens. One breathes.
The 8th Regiment noses along the tram rails, guns offset to cover upper windows. A resistance guide leans in, says one word, left. The driver nods. They vanish down a street that was once quiet a minute ago, and is no longer quiet now. That's the part no one plans for, the human tide that runs under the fight. Women with bowls instead of buckets because buckets make you a target. Boys carrying towels like flags. Old men with keys to doors they haven't opened in 5 years. Meanwhile, the SS retreat toward Groot Market and make the streets smaller with fire. Shops you've known your whole life become barricades you don't even recognize. A tram rolled on its side. A counter turned into a parapet. A doorway sandbagged with sacks that used to hold flour. The Canadians keep coming, steady and young, the way only 20-year-olds can be in a place like this. A rifleman stops just long enough to thank a woman for water, an apology in his eyes for needing it. From my grandfather's journal.
Several soldiers in dark green uniforms were seen, and 3 women soldiers among them. They are completely starved and don't even know what to do anymore. The car that was shot on Friesen Road yesterday is completely destroyed. No more German cars or motorbikes passing. They always turn back now.
Not everything is heroism, and not everything is tragedy. Most of it is survival in the narrow space between. A collaborator in a shop coat waves civilians down a stairwell, then fires over their heads at a tank that chooses not to fire back. A Canadian scout shouts, "Stay inside!" But after 5 years of occupation, people don't always know which voice means safety anymore. By evening, the southern quarters are a patchwork. Pockets of safety stitched to pockets of danger. The line isn't straight, it's stubborn. A living thing made of smoke and courage, shifting with every breath. The fight creeps towards Groot Market, the city's heart, because both sides know whoever holds the center holds Groningen itself. From my grandfather's journal.
The ground trembles all night. Bridges exploded in the distance. Smoke drifts above Wittgenhuizen, and the sky glowed red. The windows rattle all night, too. We can hear the guns close by, and the sharp cracks closer by. Sometimes the whole house lifts when they strike. I keep thinking the next one will be ours.
For 5 years, the people of Groningen had lived in silence. Now, even through the chaos, you could hear something new. The sound of a city trying to remember how to breathe. Ahead, the Martini-Toren still bites the streets with its riflemen, and the Groot Market waits like a mouth of flame. The Canadians won't call the bombers, so they will climb and clear and take until the shots from the tower stop counting the city's heartbeats. This is how a city is freed without being erased, not by fire from the sky, but by hands on doorknobs and eyes in the dark, by strangers trusting each other for seconds at a time. We're almost at the square now. The streets widen. The danger changes shape. What happens next will decide whether Groningen survives the night. By nightfall, the fighting had reached the heart of the city, the Groot Market, the great market square that had always been Groningen's pulse. Before the war, this was the place where everything began. Market stalls, parades, students meeting after classes, the chime of the Martini Tower calling the hours over the rooftops. Families would walk here on Sundays to hear the carillon, 60 bells, each with a name and a tone that marked the rhythm of generations. But in April 1945, the Groot Market was unrecognizable. Its center, once a place of trade and laughter, was now a fortress. Trams overturned for barricades, sandbags in the doorways of butcher shops, machine guns in the windows where fruit and bread once sat on display. From the journal.
The air has a taste. Smoke, dust, something sweet that used to be food. Every building is burning in a different color. The square is a mirror for the fire.
The Germans and the Dutch SS had made their last stand here, around the town hall, the post office, the edges of the market square, and watching over all of it stood the Martini-Toren Tower, the great church tower that had watched over Groningen for more than 500 years. The people called it the Old Grey One. For centuries, it had been a symbol of resilience, of faith, of time itself. But now it was something else, a weapon. Snipers had taken up positions inside the tower, firing down into the square. They turned the city's oldest guardian into its cruelest threat. From the ground, it was impossible to tell where the shots were coming from. A flash from a window, a glint from the belfry. Every corner seems to bleed fire. The Black Watch of Montreal and the 8th Regiment moved into position, but every step forward meant more destruction. They couldn't call for bombers. Too many civilians still trapped in the surrounding streets. From Theo Pullman's diary. The sound from the tower isn't like a gun anymore. It's rhythm. Every shot a heartbeat that doesn't stop. Inside nearby homes, families huddled against the floor while the battle shook the foundations beneath them. A team from the Black Watch moved to silence the snipers. They climbed the Martini-Toren Tower, step by step, through smoke and dust, their rifles slung and bayonets fixed. Below them, the city burned, Above them, the snipers fired through the narrow slits in the ancient stone. The tower shakes. It has stood for 5 centuries, and now it sounds like it's groaning, like it can't take much more. Civilians could only watch or pray. One eyewitness later said, "The tower looked alive, flashes from its windows like lightning in stone. We didn't know who was winning, only that someone was dying for us." After nearly an hour, the last sniper fell. One Canadian was wounded, another one never came back down. But the tower was silent, and when the firing stopped, the city finally exhaled. The tower had survived, scorched, cracked, but standing. It had seen the Reformation, the 80 Years' War, Napoleon, but it had never seen a day like this. That moment, when the Martin Toren fell silent, was the turning point of the battle for Groningen. With the snipers gone, the Canadians could finally move across the Groot Market. House by house, corner by corner, they drove the remaining German forces north toward the canals. But the cost was staggering. By the end of April 14th, the Groot Market was unrecognizable. Its buildings reduced to shells, its streets littered with glass and broken stone. More than 130 Dutch civilians were killed during the battle, dozens more wounded. The Canadians lost 43 men that day, with over 150 injuries. Every meter they gained was paid for in blood, smoke, and silence. From my grandfather's journal.
The rain came after the fire, hissing on the rooftops like it was trying to cool the world down. I saw people walking again, not running, not hiding, just walking. Maybe that's what freedom looks like.
For the first time in 5 years, Groningen was quiet. No orders shouted in German, no boots on the stones, just the sound of wind and people daring to speak above a whisper again. But liberation wasn't finished yet. The German forces still held the northern edges of the city, and the fires would burn for days. Tomorrow would bring capitulation and reckoning. And in that uneasy silence between victory and vengeance, the people of Groningen would have to decide what freedom meant and what justice would look like. April 16th, 1945, the last morning of the battle. The city is a furnace of sounds. The crash of grenades, the echo of tank shells, the flat pop of rifles fired from broken windows. What began as a siege became a chase. The remaining SS and NSB collaborators have dug in among the ruins, fighting from doorways, from behind counters, from the basements of shops that used to sell bread. They know it's over, but pride, fear, and fanaticism keep their fingers on the trigger. Every street corner is its own war. The Canadians advance yard by yard, clearing houses the way you'd clear memories, one painful room at a time. Each door opens on smoke, on silence, on the eyes of men who no longer believe in the cause they're dying for. From the journal.
It's daylight again, but the light feels wrong, orange and heavy. I go check on the rabbits. They're dead.
A civilian witness account. They fought from the basements of the old post office. One shot from below, one shot from above, like the city itself was arguing. We lay on the floor with our hands over our ears, waiting to see which voice would win. From my grandfather's journal.
A man ran into the street with no hat, hands raised, shouting something. We couldn't understand. A shot came from a window behind him. He fell before we knew which side he was on.
And then, as if history simply runs out of breath, it stops. The last holdouts are trapped between fire and surrender. One by one, rifles clatter to the ground. The NSB collaborators, once loud in their loyalty, now tried to hide among the crowd. And the German officers, pale and hollow-eyed, line up along the wall of the town hall, waiting for orders that will never come. From Theo Pullman's diary. We opened the door and the street was filled with smoke and stillness. I saw a German kneeling, hands behind his head. A Canadian standing beside him with his rifle lowered. Neither moved. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. That was it. 5 years of occupation. Over in a space of a heartbeat. The Battle of Groningen was finished. The city, still burning, still bleeding, was free. From my grandfather's journal.
When the first Canadians came from Holkirk, we ran outside. Mother tied orange ribbons on the trees and on her arms. We were crying and laughing at the same time.
By the end of April 16th, the numbers told their own story. 43 Canadian soldiers killed, over 150 wounded, more than 130 civilians dead, many caught between crossfire or buried under collapsing walls. The Germans left behind over 5,000 prisoners and an entire city in ruin. The Groot Market, once the proud center of Groningen, lay in rubble. And yet, the Martin Toren, the old gray one, still stood. Smoke blackened its stones, holes pocked its walls, but it had survived, as had the people. When the last sniper was taken from its stairs, someone said, "Even the tower has surrendered." From a civilian account, April 1945, the Canadians handed out chocolate and cigarettes. We didn't eat at first, we just stared. We were free, but the city didn't know how to be quiet anymore. By evening, Canadian convoys rumbled north out of the city toward Wissenschot and Desville, chasing the last German lines. Behind them, Groningen stood like a survivor after surgery, alive, scarred, trembling, but breathing again. But peace doesn't come all at once. When the guns fall silent, anger takes its place. In the days that followed, the people of Groningen turned inward, towards the collaborators, the informants, the ones who had worn friendly faces during 5 long years of fear. In the next episode, we'll walk through those first days of freedom, days of joy and of vengeance, and when the city that survived the fire began to reckon with itself. This has been Woven and Courage, the Battle for Groningen. I'm David Visser, and in our next episode, The Reckoning, we'll stand with the people of a liberated city as they face the hardest question of all. After 5 years of occupation, how do you forgive, and who decides who must pay? Freedom came to Groningen in the spring rain, but peace didn't. The fires were still burning when the first crowds formed, men and women who had lived in silence too long, now shouting the names of neighbors who had worn the wrong uniform. In the days after liberation, joy and anger walked the same streets. Old betrayals surfaced. Old fears became justice or vengeance, depending on who held the rope. Next time, on Woven in Courage, we stand with the people of Groningen as freedom collides with fury, and a nation learns that victory is only the beginning. That's it for this episode of The Day's Adventure. Remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop chasing the next great adventure. The world is full of wonders, and your next journey is just one episode away. To keep the adventure alive, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video versions and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Want more? Hit subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll never miss the next thrilling episode. The world's waiting. See you next time on The Day's Adventure.